Connect to Fox News Audio on the Fox News app. Listen to hear your favorite hosts like Brian Kilmeade, Jimmy Fallon, and Guy Benson standing up for what's right, live and via podcast. Just click listen, then swipe right and hear the latest news updates on your time. And scroll down to hear the latest podcasts from Fox News. And it's even easier to listen in the car with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Get programming alerts and notifications. Fox News Audio is on the Fox News app. The voices America trusts. Download it now.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Some big wins and historic losses. Flurries overnight headed into a fairly cool and sunny Sunday. I'm Sasha Nixon. Here's what's trending this hour. The Indiana Hoosier men's basketball team started its NCAA men's basketball tournament with a win over Kent State Friday night, 71-60. Hoosier head coach Mike Woodson gave this advice to his team in the locker room after the win.
Stay humble.
Yes.
I swear, stay humble, man.
Sir.
We take it one game at
One
a
game,
time.
baby. One game.
Hey, it was your defense tonight that put you in this position.
Sir.
Indiana plays Miami Sunday night. The winner of that game goes to the Sweet 16, but the loser goes home. However, not every team celebrated a victory. In fact, we saw one of the biggest upsets in the history of the NCAA men's basketball tournament. John Herrick explains.
The Purdue Boilermakers were a 1 seed, a favorite against 16th-seeded Fairleigh Dickinson by more than 20 points, and Big Ten champions. But Fairleigh Dickinson beat them Friday night, 63-58. Fairleigh Dickinson coach Tobin Anderson says his team never feared Purdue, but he did admire them.
And for us to beat them in this environment was just an incredible win for us. I'm so proud of the guys, what we've done, what we've accomplished so far.
His team plays Sunday, and Purdue's season is over. It's just the second time ever that a 16 seed has beaten a 1 seed. John Herrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
The Indianapolis Zoo has been named one of the 10 best zoos in the country, according to the USA Today 10 Best. Get tickets to visit online at indianapoliszoo.com. On the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com. Now here's the forecast from the American Standard Heating Weather Center.
Cloudy, windy, and cold until after dark with those snow flurries still off and on. Then clearing by tomorrow morning, very cold down to the upper teens. Sunday afternoon, though, 38. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist David James for 93 WIBC.
You had a solid retirement dream. Sell your home in a few years, bank the equity, downsize, and travel. But inflation and recession has you wondering if all of your hard-earned equity will still be there. What if you could recession-proof your equity right now? You can with TrueHold. TrueHold will buy your home for its best current value before a recession can erode it. You get to bank all the cash now and live in your home for as long as you want. And TrueHold covers all property taxes, insurance, repairs, and maintenance. And since TrueHold pays your home's current value in cash now, it's yours to do whatever you'd like. Don't wait for inflation, recession, and interest rates to erode your home's value. Visit TrueHold.com and discover how much TrueHold will buy your home for today based on its best current value, not what's coming. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit TrueHold.com. The smarter, fastest way to cash out on your home's value without having to move. That's TrueHold.com.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Saturday Night on the Circle on 93 WIBC.
With your feet on the air, your head on the ground.
Welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Can you believe that on March 18th, we are still experiencing snow flurries? I walked out of my house this morning, and there was enough snow on the ground to cover the sidewalk, which I did not expect nearly to spring. However, it is fitting, indicating the chilly economy that the Biden administration is experiencing, as the foremost thought in everybody's minds is turned to the banks that have folded causing the economy, some stocks to take a tumble, and major financiers and investors to become concerned, as well they should be. Thanks for tuning into the show, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Ethan Hatcher. Producer Carl, beep, 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 pushing those buttons and doing the things to make the show function. Catch our podcasts at Saturday Night on the Circle.fireside.fm, WIBC.com, and join the show in progress on the YouTube feed. Look up WIBC. You can find our show there. Hop in the chat. Let us know you're here. Show your support. Have some things to say. Let us know. Again, you're listening to 93 WIBC, and the big thing that we were dealing with was the financial crisis caused by the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank beginning last Friday and evolving over the current ensuing week. On Sunday, another bank fell, this time caused by the SVB collapse. It was Signature Bank, which was a mid-sized bank in New York, and by Sunday evening, the Biden administration had already indicated their intent to step in, which was officially announced on Monday when Biden, before his trip to California, announced that the FDIC would cover the depositors' credit and breathe a sigh of relief for small businesses around the country.
Today, thanks to the quick action of my administration over the past few days, Americans can have confidence that the banking system is safe. Your deposits will be there when you need them. Small businesses across the country, the deposit accounts at these banks can breathe easier knowing they'll be able to pay their workers and pay their bills.
Although that assuaged some Americans' concerns, the global markets were not so trusting when on Wednesday, shares of Credit Suisse, the second largest lender in Switzerland, took a nosedive as fears of a potential collapse ensued, a major investor choosing not to expand his shares in the company. Switzerland then subsequently stepping in and saying they would guarantee their creditors. And on Thursday, March the 16th, Credit Suisse and the flailing First Republic Bank were both officially thrown lifelines, ensuring multi-billion-dollar credit lines to keep the companies afloat. We're going to get into the financial crisis more in depth coming up in the next hour, inviting guest Brian Baker onto the show, and he's going to explain why some of the current concerns perhaps are being overblown and why your fears should not get out of control, which is a reassuring message to be sure. Don't miss that, so stay tuned later in the show. Before we get to that, though, I wanted to cover the Hunter Biden scandal, which continues to develop and grow. We heard earlier in the month, according to Fox News, a poll that released 73% of Americans believe that Joe Biden and Hunter Biden did something illegal or potentially unethical in their international business dealings. We now potentially are getting a paper trail to corroborate what many Americans have already known, this being released by James Comer and the House Oversight Committee, a memo that describes a money trail linking China to the Biden crime family.
Breaking news now to report in the House Oversight's probe into the Biden family finances. It's the first actual evidence of a money trail going from China through a business partner of Hunter's and then into the bank accounts of Biden family members. Our senior national correspondent Rich Edson is here with the breaking news. What have you got, Rich?
Well, John, when you look at some of these payments here, House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer claims subpoenaed bank records show President Biden's daughter-in-law, Haley, received $35,000 over two transfers in 2017. Haley is Bo Biden's widow, was also in a relationship with Hunter Biden after Bo died. Comer says just before those transfers, a Chinese energy firm wired a family Biden associate $3 million. Comer says soon after that, the associate, Rob Walker, sent hundreds of thousands of dollars to members of the Biden family.
Everyone says it was for an energy deal. Well, it looks to me like these people who were closely aligned with the Chinese Communist Party sent $3 million to a shell corporation. Then they turned around and split it three ways, with a third going to the Biden family, three different family members for no apparent reason.
Desperately try as they might, the Biden family has been unable to make the stink of this scandal go away, all beginning, of course, with the release of the Hunter Biden laptop, once purported to be a conspiracy flamed by Russians, signed to and attested by more than 50 intelligence officials at the time, now corroborated to be a full reality. And this at a time when attorneys representing Hunter Biden filed his answer in a defamation suit that was brought by the computer owner, John Paul Mac Isaac, and now they are countersuing him for mishandling Hunter Biden's private information, all but confirming that, yes, indeed, the laptop was real. Hunter was the one who brought it in and delivered it to the computer repair shop in Delaware. According to the countersuit fired by his lawyers, they say that Hunter had more than a reasonable expectation of privacy, and any data that he created or maintained would not be accessed, copied, disseminated, or posted on the internet for others to use against him or his family or for the public to view. And now Hunter Biden is seeking an unspecified amount for compensatory damages in the counterclaim against the computer shop owner. So now we've come full circle here, ladies and gentlemen. We came from 50 members of the intelligence community all swearing, we swear to God, this came from Russia, and now Hunter Biden is suing this computer shop repair owner, not on the basis of defamatory claims, but on the basis that he disseminated Hunter's private information. He brought it to the laptop repair shop. The policy states that if it's left for more than 90 days, it becomes the company, the property of the company. He attempted to contact Hunter Biden to retrieve his own property, didn't do it. This was short-sighted on the part of the president's son, pressure mounting from all angles now. So we've got the House Oversight Committee probing into his business dealings. We've got a potential paper trail now linking the members of the Chinese Communist Party and the business community with surreptitious payments to the Biden family. We've got the countersuit against the PC repair shop owner, and they're also probing into Biden's ties with Hunter Biden's ties with the art community, selling his Carl's Googling, selling his amateurish works for up to 6 figures to anonymous buyers. This, the Committee on Oversight and Accountability, pushing for details on collectors who ponied up for Hunter's 6-figure art. Representative James Comer, again heading the committee, saying, given Hunter's history of suspicious activity, it is deeply concerning that the president's son continues to sell his amateurish work to anonymous purchasers for sky-high prices. Yes, enriching himself on the acclaim of his family name and deepening the corruption of a family that is entrenched in government and has been for decades, using those connections to enrich themselves. You're listening to Saturday Night on the Circle, 93 WIBC. Before we go, of course, by now you've heard the breaking news that while all this is going on with Hunter Biden and the investigations heating up, well, I guess Democrats felt it would be the time to bring indictments against former Donald Trump for, of all things, a misdemeanor allegedly committed in New York, brought by the district attorney Alan Briggs for hush payments related to paying off Stormy Daniels.
We are learning that the Manhattan DA's office has asked for a meeting with law enforcement ahead of a potential Trump indictment. This is coming to Fox News from a source in the courts. The meeting, which was requested yesterday and has not been set yet, is to discuss logistics for sometime next week, which would mean that they are anticipating an indictment next week. The same source who's familiar with the planning said they will go over security preparations in and around the courthouse in Lower Manhattan. Secret Service will take the lead in what they will allow or will not allow. The source cautioned, mentioning, for instance, that the decision to handcuff the president, a former president or not, they will set the tone and will escort him into the courtroom. There will be coordination between all of us, the source said, but we will defer to the Secret Service. The battle will be between Secret Service and DA Alvin Bragg. They will decide how and when he'll get into the building, and they are not going to leave him. The source believes that the former president will still have to be fingerprinted and processed like every other defendant. So this is a huge development if Alvin Bragg has decided to go ahead with a felony indictment of the former president.
A felony indictment for a misdemeanor crime and then elevating it to felony status because it could be construed as a potential campaign finance violation. This is some ridiculous stuff because, of course, hush payments aren't illegal. No, hush payments aren't. What's illegal, or what's alleged to have been illegal, was the mislabeling of the funds that were paid to Michael Cohen for the hush money payoff. So this is all very Orwellian, very bureaucratic, very Byzantine, I should say, and completely ridiculous. How many bites at the apple do the Democrats need? They failed with the immaculate phone call, the perfect phone call to Ukraine. They failed to tie the president to the January 6th riots at the Capitol. Both of those impeachments for which he was acquitted, and now finally going to get him on this misdemeanor charge for hush money payments to Stormy Daniels. None of this is about really accusing the president of a crime. It's about eating away at his legitimacy through manipulating the optics. This isn't ultimately going to go anywhere, but is a dirty trick by the Democrats. I think it will ultimately backfire. They seem to have not learned their lesson. Leave him alone. Leave the former President Trump alone. Because when you go after him like this, you're just legitimizing and then galvanizing his followers. Stay tuned to 93 WIBC. More to come. Up next, we're going to discuss what Democrats are finally admitting, the quiet part out loud in their transgender ideology. They are, in fact, targeting your kids, supported by the administration. You'll hear it all coming up next.
Kendall and Casey.
Jeff Reitz, Guinness Book of World Records, the most consecutive visits to Disneyland. 2,995 days in a row.
Why didn't he just get a job there?
Great point, Kev. Maybe Kings Island will be his next conquest. I don't know.
That says greatest achievement.
Does he put that on his resume?
I don't think he has a resume.
Kendall and Casey. Weekdays 9 till noon on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Hi, this is Denny Smith, and it's springtime in Indiana, and that means everything from slush and dirt to seed pods and mulch being tracked into the home. And between the kids, the dogs, and even ourselves as carriers of this junk onto the floors and carpets, it's time to call Zero Res. Zero Res is my go-to team for cleaning carpets, hardwood floors, ceramic tile and grout, and even area rugs to give it that smart, lasting spring cleaning. Winter was messy, but it's soon to be a bad memory with the help of Zero Res. I call them because no one else can clean with ZR Water, the patented technology that cleans with electrolyzed water. No soap, no residue, no harsh chemicals. Zero Res cleans so much better with less flooding of your carpets and padding. The reason is the water itself attracts the dirt. They'll stay cleaner longer with a softer and fluffier feeling that you will absolutely notice. They have over 3,000 Google reviews with a 4.95 out of 5-star rating. And right now, when you mention WIBC, you get 3 rooms of carpet clean for $149. Call 388-5141 or schedule your appointment at ZeroResIndy.com.
Why does We Grow Hair Indy have the best hair transplant results? Because they have the best technology. And I'm living proof of it. This is Rob. I'm out and about in the community for this radio station, and I feel so much better because We Grow Hair Indy has the technology that restored both my hairline and my crown area. And this year, they can restore yours too. Call them right now at 317-522-2995. Here's Darren Andrews to explain.
Having that strong hairline again completely changes the way you see yourself. It makes a huge difference. A lot of people think the crown cannot be transplanted. It's actually an area of specialty for us with our multi-unit hair grafting.
My hair is going to grow the rest of my life. I'm very happy I called We Grow Hair Indy. Call right now for your free evaluation. 317-522-2995. That's 317-522-2995. WeGrowHairIndy.com. The gold standard in hair restoration.
Spring is in the air at Sundown Gardens in Westfield. Sundown Gardens is your spring headquarters on the north side for trees, shrubs, annuals, perennials, mulch, pottery, and more. Sundown Gardens has a big announcement, a second location coming later this spring.
That's right, Denny. Miss M's Home and Garden by Sundown Gardens is coming to my neck of the woods in Bargersville on State Road 135 several weeks from now. But for now, see all that Sundown Gardens in Westfield has to offer for spring at 186th and Spring Mill Road. SundownGardens.com.
I thought learning a language would be too much work, but Babbel makes learning fun. J'aime Babbel.
Babbel's lessons only take 10 or 15 minutes, and soon you turn and realize, hey, I'm starting to speak another language. How'd that happen?
Babbel isn't robots talking. You learn words and phrases from real native speakers. I was ready for real-life conversations in just a few weeks. So easy.
Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Austin Center here, driver of the Discount Tire, number 2 Ford Mustang, and 2022 NASCAR Cup Series Rookie of the Year. Having the right tire pressure on the racetrack is crucial to my success. Tire pressure is also critical to keeping you safe on the road. Whether it's for safe stopping distances in all seasons or getting the best gas mileage, you want to keep your vehicle's tires properly inflated. Check your tire pressure at least once a month or stop by a local tire retailer for an air check.
A message from the U.S. Tire Manufacturers Association.
Housing discrimination because of race, color, or national origin is against the law. If you believe you've experienced housing discrimination, contact HUD at hud.gov/fair housing. Find the path to recovery that works for you. Learn more at cdc.gov/stop overdose.
Carry on my wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest.
This is Saturday Night on The Circle on 93 WIBC.
They're coming after the kids, ladies and gentlemen, a reality which unfortunately can no longer be denied. Thanks for tuning in to Saturday Night on The Circle. Catch our podcasts at WIBC.com, Saturday Night on The Circle.fireside.fm, and join the chat in progress on YouTube. I see Rock Fan and Kojak are already with us. Thanks for supporting the show. We appreciate you being here. Okay, getting into the meat of the segment. This really made my blood boil this week because it affects kids. I think we can all, or most of us can accept, that in a free country, adults generally should be allowed to do what they wish as long as that doesn't impact the health or safety of others. However, in the transgender ideology, they've often disguised their desire to subject children to mutilating surgeries or life-altering hormone therapy pre-adulthood, but now openly be admitted by Biden's Assistant Secretary of Health, Rachel Levine, who says the administration is fully in support of what they call, quote, gender-affirming care, and I'll get into why that's a misnomer very shortly, for minors, which includes surgery, which includes hormone therapy. Here's Rachel Levine admitting the truth.
I think that as we look to all the different elections in 2024, I think the next 2 years are going to be challenging, but I am positive and optimistic and hopeful that the wheel will turn after that, and that this issue won't be as politically and socially such a minefield. In the meantime, I can say that the children that you serve, and the young people that you serve, their families, and you all as their providers have supported the highest levels of the federal government. President Biden supports you, and he has articulated that support for the children and families frequently.
Okay, first of all, Dr. Levine, I would like to say that as long as this issue targets children, I hope it never stops being a political minefield, because kids deserve the highest level of protection because they receive none, because they don't have the freedoms afforded to adults, and because they need the added security during their developmental years, especially against life-altering hormone therapy, which could potentially change the way their body develops forever. This is temporary, and the entire idea that it's called gender-affirming care is largely a misnomer, because it's a manipulation of terms designed to hide the reality that it is biological sex denying harm. Gender-affirming care is biological sex denying harm, because in order to receive this so-called care requires surgical manipulation of your body, a denial of reality, and adults, they can do what they want. Kids need protected, and they are going after your kids in what could be ultimately a life and death decision. This is Peggy Flanagan, Lieutenant Governor of Minnesota, on an executive order which is protecting in that state their access to gender-affirming care, which again includes hormone therapy. This is what she had to say.
When our children tell us who they are, it is our job as grown-ups to listen and to believe them. That's what it means to be a good parent.
I dare say that is not what it means to be a good parent. This is like giving in to your child who demands they eat ice cream for breakfast, that wants to overload themselves on salty and sugary snacks to the point of morbid obesity as something that could change the trajectory of their health and well-being for the rest of their lives. It is not good parenting to give in to your children when those are the demands. And when we're talking about surgically altering your body, minors are not in the position to do that. And that shouldn't be a controversial opinion. Fortunately, not all states are going the way of Minnesota. Some are stepping up to protect their kids. And again, what shouldn't all be a controversial move. Don't perform surgical mutilation on under 18. Don't give them life-altering hormone therapy unless there's some other medically proven ailment that would require such intervention, not the belief that they are of a different sex, which I love how the left pollutes the language. They say that sex and gender are different. Oh, we're not. There aren't two genders. There are 5,500 genders, and there are only two sexes. But in order to receive the, quote, gender-affirming care, they got to change your sex. They're changing your sex. So the left can't even keep a consistent tone on what exactly it is they're addressing. But like I said, other states, fortunately, stepping up to protect the children in what shouldn't at all be controversial, including Georgia, which voted on Thursday for SB 140, which would ban hormone therapy and transition-related surgery for children, something that shouldn't at all be controversial. But this is why I say it's literally a life and death conversation, because even the Democrats recognize it, of course, pervertedly so, but we'll get into that. This is State Representative Carla Drenner begging the assembly to vote against the bill that would protect children, saying that if they don't cave in, the kids might kill themselves.
To all the children in our state that are going to be negatively impacted, please don't lose hope. Please don't give up. Please don't kill yourself. This world is worth it. We need you. Please don't vote for this bill. Thank you. I yield the well.
This is mind-numbingly destructive. People were not killing themselves over lack of surgical options for thousands of years. This is a recent invention, a recent phenomenon. And denying children the freedom to mutilate themselves is not abuse. Sorry about you if you feel otherwise. You're wrong. It's just like I said earlier. This is if a child threatens suicide because you will not feed them ice cream for breakfast every day, you would not cave into them, and doing so is not good parenting. So yeah, this issue energizes me, and honestly, I wouldn't probably bring it up at all if it was limited to just the adults. Adults should have the freedom in a free society to do as they wish. If they want to engage in these hormone therapies or surgical alteration of their body, go ahead. But when you bring the kids, when you involve the kids, you invite scrutiny to this nonsense. Thanks for tuning in to Saturday Night on the Circle, 93 WIBC. Of course, coming up next is the Hat Tricks with Hatcher segment. I think you'll be entertained by the clips I've got selected, getting us into the mood and tying in with the theme of this segment. I want to end off with Jamie Lee Curtis's, Jamie Curtis's, renaming of her Oscar award in honor of her, quote, daughter, Ruby.
Hey. Oh, look at this. Here they are.
Have we named her? What's her?
I'm in support of my daughter Ruby. I'm having them be a they them.
Oh.
I'm gonna just call them they them, and they are doing great. And they're settling in. I couldn't, I just...
If you want to call your Oscar they, them, you're an adult, you have the freedom. I think it's weird, but I don't have to approve because I didn't win the award, but leave the kids out of it. You're listening to Saturday Night on The Circle. Stay tuned. Hat Tricks with Hatcher coming up next.
March basketball is here, and you may be rooting for the offense, but are you defending against your home foundation issues? Give your crawl space, basement, or slab foundation an assist by passing it off to the foundation experts at Indiana Foundation Service. March is the time of year when common foundation, crawl space, and basement issues ramp up as the weather gets warm again. You may notice red flags like nasty smells that you just can't pinpoint, mold in your crawl space, cracks in your drywall or in the mortar between bricks on your home's exterior, water sweating on the walls or windows of your basement, and even leaks. At Indiana Foundation Service, they'll inspect your foundation for free. A certified field inspector will find the main cause of your issues so you can defeat them then and there. There's no pressure to sign a contract at Indiana Foundation Service. Their home inspections are totally free and they'll provide you with a no-obligation quote. Visit IndianaFoundation.com today.
Indiana Foundation Service, reliability from the ground up.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, driver of the Discount Tire number 12 Ford Mustang. Wonder what gets me through to the checkered flag? A quick pit stop to check my tires and wheels. No matter where you're driving, properly maintained tires can make all the difference in tough weather conditions and when it comes to needing safe stopping power. Book a safety check online to get your tires inspected at a local tire retailer or do a quick tread depth check at home.
A message from the U.S. Tire Manufacturers Association.
If I could be you.
And you could be me?
For just 1 hour.
If you could find a way
to get inside
each other's mind.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
We've all felt left out. And for some, that feeling lasts more than a moment. We can change that. Learn how at belongingbeginswithus.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Fox News, I'm Laura Cantor. Former President Trump posting on Truth Social that he's expecting to be arrested Tuesday in the hush money payments case.
President Trump's former lawyer, Michael Cohen, pleaded guilty to his role in that payment in a 2018 case. He claims it was meant to keep Daniels quiet about an alleged affair that Trump denies. Federal prosecutors have claimed the former president and his business reimbursed Cohen for that payment.
Fox's Nate Foy. Trump is calling the case a witch hunt and encouraging his supporters to protest. An arrest warrant for Russian President Vladimir Putin for war crimes.
The International Criminal Court issuing an arrest warrant charging him and another official in the abduction of Ukrainian children since Russia's invasion last year. Kids allegedly taken out of Ukraine and sent to Russia.
That's Fox's Greg Palcott. America is listening to Fox News.
Pat Sullivan here. Do gurgling pipes and running toilets keep you up at night? Become a member at Hope Plumbing and have the comfort of knowing you have a plumber on call. For only $8 a month, you get the ease of having your own plumber on hand, a 10% discount on all plumbing services, 1 annual free mainline cleaning, 1 annual plumbing safety inspection, and all the trip charges waived. Call Hope Plumbing today and become a member to start saving big.
Wake up and text. Text and eat. Text and meet up with a friend you haven't seen in forever.
Hi.
Oh, hey. Text and complain that they're on their phone the whole time. Text and listen to them complain that you're on your phone the whole time. Text and whatever. But when you get behind the wheel, give your phone to a passenger. Put it in the glove box. Just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Denny Smith. Have you been putting up with water issues at your home? How about taking advantage of $100 off a water tune-up from C&J Water? Well water or city water, you need to stay on top of your water quality, and C&J can do a performance check on your softener and filter, a water analysis, a sediment filter change, a resin refresh, and a couple of bags of salt. Preventive maintenance on your water system works. C&J, they're local, they're exceptional, they're affordable. 317-733-SOFT or cnjwater.com.
Emmer and Nigel here, inviting you to join us as we kick off the weekend every Friday around 5:45 with Beer Sample Friday, brought to you by our friends at Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus.
We're all different, 1 in 5 of us live with a mental illness. Don't filter who you are. Talk to someone you trust. Learn more at bringchangetomind.org. Indy Humane, committed to helping Central Indiana's pets in need since 1905. Find your new best friend today. IndyHumane.org.
'Cause I got spurs that jingle, jangle, jingle. Jingle, jangle. As I go riding merrily along. Jingle, jangle.
You're listening to Saturday Night on the Circle on 93 WIBC.
And that song ain't so very far from wrong.
This week, Kamala Harris admitted the quiet part out loud that her time in office is better compared to a comedy than a serious stab at leadership, laughing on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, seemingly oblivious to the startlingly accurate appraisal and its own comedic potential. This week, we'll replay the moment of madness and wind back the clock to show the treachery and lack of principle held by the vice president for this exciting edition of Hat Tricks with Hatcher.
It's time for another one of Hatcher's Hat Tricks.
The story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
You're listening to Saturday Night on The Circle, where I'm your host, Ethan Hatcher, producer Carl, beep, 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 pushing the buttons and doing the things to make the show function. We begin, of course, with Vice President Kamala Harris' appearance on The Late Show with a friendly audience and Stephen Colbert in tow, admitting that her leadership is more akin to, like I said, comedy than a serious stab at being in the executive office. This was what she had to say during her appearance.
Okay, so here's the thing, because you and I have visited before. I know you love Veep.
I do. I love Veep. Is it accurate?
There are bits of it that are actually quite accurate. And
Okay, so this is a show that was starring Julia Louis-Dreyfus, poking fun at the sometimes whimsical nature of left-wing politics in the Oval Office. And yes, perhaps a more apt comparison than she would like you to believe. She, of course, shared this anecdote about her office getting filled with smoke. But here's a side-by-side comparison between Veep and the vice president. And I'll tell you what, I'm kind of energized about this next season of the show.
My fellow Americans, words have many meanings, and sometimes instead of conveying our meaning, they can suggest other meanings.
when we talk about the children of the community, they are children of the community.
Well, we are the United States of America because we are united. And we are states.
Talking about the significance of the passage of time, right? The significance of the passage of time. So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time.
Whatever we have in store cannot be known. The past was once the future. The future is, I should say, unknown.
We got to take this stuff seriously as you are, because you have been forced to have to take it seriously.
Obesity is a serious disease, and it needs to be taken seriously.
You need to get to go and need to be able to get where you need to go to do the work and get home.
I hope that clarifies the issue, and this can be the last word on those words.
Certain issues are just settled.
Clearly we're not.
No, that's right. And that's why I do believe that we are living, sadly, in real unsettled times.
I don't think she intended the comparison to be perhaps as accurate as it actually is. But yeah, not far off the mark at all. But I really wanted to dive into the hypocrisy of the vice president because, of course, there's deeper criticisms than just her lack of articulation during her press appearances. Ana Navarro, of course, of The View, says that Fox News is mischaracterizing the vice president as inept, but I'll show you why that's not the case.
Fox News every single day goes after Kamala Harris, trying to portray her as inept and some kind of bumbling fool. She's not. That's not who she is. And so Democrats have got to come out and reinforce Kamala. They've got to stop playing into the hands of these people who cannot stand that she is the first woman of color vice president and don't want her to succeed.
She's a cravenly political animal who has no personal principles and is willing to drop them to the side at the first sign of inconvenience to her career. Of course, praising President Biden for his strength of leadership, but that hasn't always been the case for the vice president.
He really is a true partner, and he understands the job. And remember, we came in during the height of the pandemic. Yes. And so much of the work was about, okay, we've got to cover a lot of bases and let's figure out how between us we can do it. But he is an extraordinary leader, and I wish that people could see what I see, because there's only one person who sits behind that resolute desk.
Strong leader, she says. Of course, the botched withdrawal from Afghanistan, the formula shortage, the transportation crisis, the inflation crisis, the bank collapses, the slow wage growth, so many problems directly tied to the Biden administration. We've left so many on the table, like the out-of-control energy prices, gasoline prices, the tightening of regulations on the energy sector that now has backfired with Biden approving more drilling against the desires of his leftist supporters. He's not a strong leader, nor has the vice president always felt that way. Let us not forget, once upon a time, she believed the accusers against the president, now President Biden, who accused him before he even hit the campaign trail.
I believe them, and I respect them being able to tell their story and having the courage to do it.
Do you believe that the vice president should enter this race?
He's going to have to make that decision for himself. I wouldn't tell him what to do.
Not only did she believe the accusers who said accused Biden of sexual impropriety and other creepy behavior, but she also tied him to support of racists during his time in the Senate and opposition of federal busing programs, essentially calling him racist to his face on the debate stage. He's a strong leader, says Kamala Harris. Well, that's not what she said back in 2019 when she's a little bit more feisty.
Vice President Biden, do you agree today that you were wrong to oppose busing in America then?
No,
do you agree?
I did not oppose busing in America. What I opposed is busing ordered by the Department of Education. That's what I opposed.
Well, there was a failure of states to integrate public schools in America. I was part of the second class to integrate Berkeley, California public schools almost 2 decades after Brown v. Board of Education.
Because your city council made that decision. It was a local decision.
So that's where the federal government must step in. That's why we have the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act. That's why we need to pass the Equality Act. That's why we need to pass the ERA, because there are moments in history where states fail to preserve the civil rights of all people.
After Kamala Harris slammed the then vice president for his views on federal busing programs during the 1970s, on a phone call with supporters, the future First Lady Jill Biden said Kamala can go F herself. Yeah, caught on tape and not released by right-wingers. That was a report from the Politico in 2021. That call resurfaced. So, yeah, there has been no love lost between Biden and Harris. They're political animals, both seeking to benefit themselves from the association. No principles behind it whatsoever. And here's Kamala Harris, who, yes, unlike Ana Navarro suggests, is incredibly inept and is a woman without principle. You're listening to Saturday Night on The Circle. Stay tuned for more. Coming up next, gonna perform a little experiment. You heard me talk about the Hershey campaign, released by Hershey's Chocolate, and then complain about how everything is freaking political now, and it doesn't make corporate virtue signaling any better just because it comes in a flavor that I approve of. Well, gonna talk a little bit more about Jeremy's chocolate binary coming up next and where it was manufactured. You know, some unanswered questions I think you'll find interesting. So stay tuned to Saturday Night on The Circle, and we'll dive into that coming up next.
Creative Planning presents Rethink Your Money with John Hagenson, Saturday morning at 8. Get the most up-to-date financial advice on the freshest thinking on investments, tax strategies, estate planning, and more. Visit creativeplanning.com/radio.
You had a solid retirement dream. Sell your home in a few years, bank the equity, downsize, and travel. But inflation and recession has you wondering if all of your hard-earned equity will still be there. What if you could recession-proof your equity right now? You can with TrueHold. TrueHold will buy your home for its best current value before a recession can erode it. You get to bank all the cash now and live in your home for as long as you want. And TrueHold covers all property taxes, insurance, repairs, and maintenance. And since TrueHold pays your home's current value in cash now, it's yours to do whatever you'd like. Don't wait for inflation, recession, and interest rates to erode your home's value. Visit TrueHold.com and discover how much TrueHold will buy your home for today based on its best current value, not what's coming. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit TrueHold.com. The smarter, fastest way to cash out on your home's value without having to move. That's TrueHold.com.
Hey, I've been on the Exercise Inc. program for years, and I love it, especially since I don't have a lot of time to spend in a traditional gym. Exercise Inc. is a once-a-week strength training program that lasts for 20 minutes. Now, 20 minutes might not sound like a lot, but let me tell you what Exercise Inc. has done for me. Not only does it save me a bunch of time getting the physical activity my body craves, but I've lost 20 pounds following my personal trainer's guidance on diet and eating habits. So not only am I getting one-on-one coaching inside the gym, but I'm getting help on what to do to stay active and live a healthier lifestyle outside the gym as well. I feel better, lost inches off my waist, had to buy new clothes, and I'm able to chase my kids up and down the stairs without getting winded. Call Exercise Inc. right now to find out more. 317-750-2219 or exerciseinc.com. There are locations all over town: Avon, Brownsburg, Greenwood, and Zionsville. Call Exercise Inc. Again, that number 750-2219 or visit exerciseinc.com and check out all the success stories. Change your life in 20 minutes a week with Exercise Inc.
Tony Katz here for Premier Arms in Brownsburg. This is your premier gun store. Premier Arms has the experience and know-how to help the new gun buyer and the most experienced marksman. They've been in business for over 20 years and have a friendly, knowledgeable staff that wants to help you, not talk down to you. Premier Arms in Brownsburg is family friendly, so bring the kids. All ages are welcome. Everyone can find what they're looking for at Premier Arms in Brownsburg, 3754 South Green Street. Online at premierarms.com. Tell them Tony Katz sent you. premierarms.com.
Up to 100 times more potent than morphine, the tiniest amount of illegal fentanyl is all it takes to cause an overdose. Learn more at cdc.gov/overdose.
When you're high, you feel different. But if you feel different, you drive different. So don't drive high. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
This is Saturday Night on the Circle on 93 WIBC.
Corporate virtue signaling has really infected everything. Politics is now center stage on any discussion. Nothing is innocent, not even chocolate. It began with Hershey's announcing, ahead of International Women's Day of all things, a transgendered woman who was the face of the Hershey chocolate bar campaign. The women changing how we see the future was their slogan. Of course, enraging many in the conservative community. And Daily Wire founder Jeremy Boring got the idea to announce his own chocolate binary for sale. 2 bars, he, him, and she, her, offered with nuts and nutless. Obviously, no further explanation needed on which bars those are offered in. Of course, I complained at the time that this isn't necessarily better. Yes, I oppose the Hershey's woke agenda, but also just because the corporate virtue signaling comes in a right-wing flavor doesn't make it any less exasperating. And so I was completely at my wit's end with the idea that you're now politicizing chocolate. You got a left-wing chocolate and a right-wing chocolate. Just make my damn chocolate regular chocolate. I do not need the virtue signaling added. I also said that if you were going to buy this Jeremy's chocolate for, I think it's $25. Yes, $25 for a 4-pack, $6.25 per chocolate, then you are the sucker born every minute that P.T. Barnum warned us about. Okay, I guess I'm a sucker because out of an overwhelming curiosity, I'm about to buy some Jeremy's chocolate live on air. I'm going to get this 4-pack, which comes in at a grand. Are you ready for this, Carl? It's $32.09 total for 4 chocolates.
But we are in radio. We do make enough to pay for that.
Yes. Yeah. and how you people should feel appreciated that I am ponying up this exquisite amounts of money to buy the chocolate because, of course, Jeremy Boring saying that this is anti-woke chocolate is standing in opposition to the messaging of the Hershey Chocolate Corporation, which, whatever, fine, great. But where's he getting this chocolate from? Probably, yeah. Carl said it. Probably Hershey's. Okay, because he didn't come up with the plants. He didn't come up with the distribution. This didn't materialize in 2 days, and I cannot find anywhere, not on his website, not on Daily Wire, not anywhere, not any of the other investigative reporters so far have uncovered where this chocolate is being made. So, therefore, for an experiment, and I've got the info entered, I'm paying now. No, I don't want to save the credit card info to my work computer. There, it's ordered. It's going to be shipped to me because of labeling law requirements in the United. Yes, thank you, Ethan. Order confirmed. $32 for 4 damn bars of chocolate. But because of labeling law requirements, there's something about the manufacturer that's going to be on the label. And I am just dying to know if he is not somehow financially benefiting the Hershey's Chocolate Corporation off of this anti-woke corporate grift. He's just engaging in the same thing. It's just more corporate virtue signaling. It's just right-wing corporate virtue signaling. It's the left-wing corporate virtue signaling, but that doesn't make it not corporate virtue signaling. I'm so tired of everything being political, but I gave him money anyway, and now it is on its way to me. Now, apparently, this is just a pre-order. I guess it could take another couple of months for the actual chocolate to arrive. But when it does, I'll update you. Thanks for listening to Saturday Night on the Circle 93 WIBC. This was another funny food-related story in the news where it's just making the rounds now because of social media. But back in 2015, a murder mystery was solved because the perpetrators gave an alibi about fries that didn't add up to the investigator. And of course, this was from Dateline's Weekend Murder Mysteries, where they gave this unusual twist.
But their list of clues in this case was growing, including a highly unusual one.
Well, here in Alabama, there's Milo's Hamburgers, and they have absolutely some of the best French fries, I'd have to say, in the world.
And everyone around here knows you have to eat those fries while they're hot. So police were puzzled when Cindy said on the night of her husband's murder, she dropped off the bag filled with burgers and fries and told Michael she was off to buy groceries at the Piggly Wiggly.
Before or after you ate?
We had to eat.
That was the red flag moment for you, that Cindy didn't stay and eat her fries.
That's as bizarre as it sounds, yes.
That was the red flag moment. She didn't eat her fries. And that just doesn't make sense because Milo's fries are the best. And of course, there were other aspects of the alibi that didn't add up. But that's what really tipped the hand of investigators at the time, was the fact they didn't eat their fries. Something doesn't add up here. Yeah, that's absolutely hysterical. 93 WIBC, Saturday Night on the Circle. Wrapping up this segment, stay tuned for hour 2. Going to have Brian Baker joining us in the studio. But before I go, I also wanted to mourn the unexpected passing of a fantastic character actor, Lance Reddick, passing away of natural causes at the age of 60. His publicist released, of course. We still, again, don't know the specific causes, but certainly at the age of 60, he passed all too young, noted for his roles in The Wire, in Fringe, in Bosch, in Lost, in video games. He got around, and he was an extremely talented man. I will always remember this unforgettable appearance on the Eric Andre Show. Lance Reddick, the legend.
I wish I would have Where's my iconic slave role? Motherfucker. I wish I would have all y'all. Warp speed, don't rainbow read me.
Man, at the age of 60, that's really passing too young, especially such a talented man who's touched the lives of many and entertained them for years. Stay tuned to 93 WIBC, Saturday night on The Circle.
Planning for retirement all comes down to what matters most for you. Is it a vacation home? Is it traveling the globe? You could call the team at Howard Bailey Financial to help you plan for your retirement and to help you have a successful and fulfilling retirement. Great things in business are never done by one person. They're done by a team of people, and I'm excited to share that Singer Financial is now Howard Bailey Financial, an Indiana-based retirement planning firm.
The Howard Bailey team possesses credibility at both an ethical and professional standpoint. They will deliver you a customized framework that allows you to create the meaning of retirement. Whatever you visualize retirement to be, let the Howard Bailey team customize a plan specifically for you. If you're ready for your best retirement, come forward and see the Howard Bailey difference.
Investment advisory services may be offered through Howard Bailey Securities, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Working with Howard Bailey Securities, LLC cannot guarantee investment success or that specific financial goals will be achieved.
It's Furnace Madness at Peterman Brothers.
That means when you install a new qualifying high-efficiency AC unit, we'll include the furnace for free.
And we'll install it next day, guaranteed, or we'll give you $500.
Take advantage of this incredible savings for a limited time.
Visit yourfreefurnace.com to schedule your free furnace installation today. And we'll see you tomorrow.
Peterman Brothers, where great service runs in the family.
Hi, this is Pastor Micah Beckwith from Life Church. Many of you know me from being a weekly guest on the Kendall and Casey Show. I often talk about defending freedom and liberty in our nation, but the heart I have for liberty comes from the freedom I have found in Christ Jesus. Liberty is not man's idea, it's God's idea. If you've been searching for true freedom but still haven't found what you're looking for, I'd like to invite you to one of our multiple Life Church Easter services on Sunday, April 9th. For service times and locations, go to lifechurchin.com. Join us and find the eternal freedom your heart has always longed for.
Are you working way too hard for way too little? There's never been a better time to consider a career in IT. You could enjoy a recession-resistant career in a rewarding field with plenty of growth opportunities and often flexible work environments. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. You could start your new career in months, not years. Take classes online or on campus, and financial aid is available to qualified students, including the GI Bill. Now is the time. mycomputercareer.edu.
Spring is in the air at Sundown Gardens in Westfield. Sundown Gardens is your spring headquarters on the north side for trees, shrubs, annuals, perennials, mulch, pottery, and more. Sundown Gardens has a big announcement, a second location coming later this spring.
That's right, Denny. Miss M's Home and Garden by Sundown Gardens is coming to my neck of the woods in Bargersville on State Road 135 several weeks from now. But for now, see all that Sundown Gardens in Westfield has to offer for spring at 186th and Spring Mill Road. SundownGardens.com.
Broadcasting from the Peterman Brothers Heating, Plumbing, and Electrical Studios. This is Indy's Mobile News, 93 WIBC. WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. The news starts now.
Is an indictment looming? I'm Laura Cantor, Fox News. Former President Donald Trump posting on Truth Social that he expects to be arrested Tuesday in the hush money payments investigation. South Carolina Republican Senator Lindsey Graham gives his take on the probe.
The case against the former president hinges on an untested and therefore risky legal theory involving a complex interplay of laws, all amounting to a low-level felony. You know what that means in English? They're making stuff up that they've never used against anybody because they hate Trump.
Senator Graham at the Palmetto Vision 24 National Conservative Policy Forum in Charleston, South Carolina. The DA's office is declining to comment on the case. Protests continuing in France after French President Emmanuel Macron's attempts to raise the retirement age. Fox's Eric Shawn reports.
Thousands have been gathering on the streets. They want to raise the retirement age from 62 to 64. And he sought to do that without a vote in the National Assembly. Macron's office says that the new age requirement is necessary to prevent the French pension system from collapsing. Some French lawmakers say, though, they will hold a no confidence vote to see if they can remove Macron's prime minister and his entire cabinet.
Protests also continuing across Israel, the 11th week in a row, against plans by Benjamin Netanyahu's government to overhaul the country's legal system. Here's the sound of protesters clashing with authorities. A magnitude 6.8 earthquake striking southern Ecuador and northern Peru, killing at least 13 people and leaving others trapped under rubble. America's listening to Fox News.
Connect to Fox News Audio on the Fox News app. Listen to hear your favorite hosts like Brian Kilmeade, Jimmy Fallon, and Guy Benson standing up for what's right, live and via podcast. Just click listen, then swipe right and hear the latest news updates on your time. And scroll down to hear the latest podcasts from Fox News. And it's even easier to listen in the car with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Get programming alerts and notifications. Fox News Audio is on the Fox News app. The voices America trusts. Download it now. From the Fox News Podcasts Network.
I'm Ben Domenech, Fox News contributor and editor of the Transom.com daily newsletter, and I'm inviting you to join a conversation every week with the smartest thinkers out there about the issues Americans face and where we're going as a nation. This show will feature deep dive interviews with newsmakers and some of your favorite Fox News analysts. I hope you'll join me as we dive into the fray. It's the Ben Domenech Podcast.
Subscribe and listen now by going to foxnewspodcasts.com or wherever you download podcasts.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
How crime is being addressed, or not. Some flurries overnight headed into a fairly cool and sunny Sunday. I'm Sasha Nixon. Here's what's trending this hour. Indy Metro Police said that a person was shot and killed Saturday afternoon. Officers were called to Beckwith Drive, where they found the injured person, who was taken to the hospital in critical condition, but they later died. The mayor of Beech Grove, Dennis Buckley, is urging action to address public safety concerns in Marion County.
Crime is out of control, and it's being pushed out to the suburbs of Marion County.
Mayor Buckley is concerned that the absence of public safety improvements in Marion County is putting the lives of suburban residents at risk. A police officer who shot and killed a teenager last November is now legally in the clear. Fort Wayne police officer Andrew Fry shot and ultimately killed 18-year-old Wyatt Beckler. Months later, the Allen County Prosecutor's Office has ruled that Fry was justified in his actions. It seems that Beckler called 911 and told the dispatcher that a man matching his own description had pointed a gun at someone else. Investigators now think that Beckler wanted to die, and this was his way of committing suicide. Apparently, he had been looking at suicide by cop videos on YouTube before deciding to make his own 911 call. Governor Eric Holcomb has been extensively promoting his Next Level agenda, especially on social media. He tweeted his commitment to some of the state's natural attractions Saturday, saying, "We're adding 62.3 miles to Next Level trails in southern Indiana. In my Next Level agenda, I'm pushing to let more Hoosiers enjoy the great outdoors." On the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com. Now here's the forecast from the American Standard Heating Weather Center.
Cloudy, windy, and cold until after dark with those snow flurries still off and on. Then clearing by tomorrow morning, very cold down to the upper teens. Sunday afternoon, though, 38. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist David James for 93 WIBC.
Hey, Tamer and Nigel for Window Nation. Have you noticed your energy costs have been rising dramatically? Nationwide, energy prices have increased over 14% since last year. It isn't too late to do something to fix your high energy bills. Beat the spring rush with the last month of off-season pricing at Window Nation. Get 2 windows free with every 2 you buy with 0 down payment, 0 monthly payments, and 0 interest for 24 months. New windows will pay for themselves with the energy savings on your energy bills, and you will pay nothing for 2 full years with 0% financing, saving you hundreds of dollars.
Go with the window company that has installed nearly 2 million windows, including mine. 866-90-NATION. Get 2 free windows with every 2 that you buy. No limit. Plus, no down payment, no payments, no interest for 24 months. This offer won't last long. Call Window Nation right now. 866-90-NATION or go to windownation.com. Tell them Hammer and Nigel sent you.
There are 48 million unpaid family caregivers in the United States. Visit aarp.org/caregiving to access a free guide to help navigate your caregiving journey.
The Indianapolis Public Library. More than just books. Visit your local branch today.
This is Saturday Night on the Circle on 93 WIBC.
Welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen, where absolute madness, pandemonium, And dismay has broken out on the border this week as more than 1,000 migrants storm officials at the El Paso border checkpoint, attempting to overwhelm and enter the country. This is 93 WIBC, Saturday Night on the Circle. Check our podcasts at SaturdayNightOnTheCircle.fireside.fm, released on WIBC.com, and join the show in progress live on YouTube. You can find us on Facebook. Share, like, comment. We're on Twitter. Do the same there, or search for WIBC on YouTube. Come in the chat and join the show in progress. We appreciate your support. Just like I was telling Carl during the break, man, I gotta know where this chocolate is made. Gotta know, because it just was put together in such short order, and I'm deathly curious to see where the chocolate was manufactured. Won't know for a few more months, so you gotta wait, because the estimated shipping starts on May 15th, so it will still be several days after that. And if you're unaware of what we're talking about, I ended last hour discussing my quest to purchase Jeremy's chocolate binary. It's on the way. We got to wait a few months in an effort to know where it was made, because, of course, this is supposed to be against, it's the anti-woke chocolate, it's against Hershey's, and is he somehow benefiting the Hershey's Corporation by giving money to the same manufacturer? Like, I gotta know, and we'll find out in a couple of months. So yeah, check the podcast if you missed last segment at WIBC.com, Fireside, or the other associated places. But beginning this hour with continued deterioration at the border, like I said, more than 1,000 migrants seeking to overwhelm border officials, seemingly celebrating in progress as they attempted to storm and filmed themselves doing it. This is like a celebration. These kids are on vacation, mostly young males, although there were a few women and children included, mostly as human shields, but otherwise largely young men. Here was just a small snippet of the disaster that was successfully repelled. They're so cheerful because they're used to getting away with it, because the Biden administration has all but invited this incursion on our soil. Of course, they're attempting to deflect. Karine Jean-Pierre announcing, finally, they're gonna do the work.
On this, look, we're going to secure the border and do the work. You've heard from Mayorkas on this. Do the work, Secretary Mayorkas on this. Do the work to continue to do that.
Better late than never, I guess. Isn't that right, producer Carl? 780 days after Biden took office.
Is she talking about the French border?
Yeah, certainly. That is a more secure border than our southern or our northern border. But yeah, they're going to do the work now, 780 days into office, which is absolutely ridiculous. And their lack of oversight really is not only inviting this lawlessness, but also resulting in large human casualty, large fatalities, which are sad and should be mourned. Of course, we remember the 50 migrants, more than 50 migrants, who all but cooked to death in the back of that box truck that was found, I believe, in Texas late last year. Now more than 8, possibly more migrants have died after a human smuggling operation was discovered right off the coast of San Diego and drowning in one of the largest such disasters in recent memory.
The details on what officials are calling one of the deadliest U.S. maritime smuggling tragedies in recent years. 8 people died when 2 migrant smuggling boats overturned off San Diego's coast this weekend. 7 more people are believed to be missing. The Coast Guard suspended their search yesterday afternoon. WIBC's Dana Griffin is covering this for us. Dana, what more do we know about this tragedy?
So, Jose, San Diego police received that 911 call from a woman on one of those panga boats around midnight Sunday. She said there was a crash and that her boat carrying 8 people made it to shore, but a second one carrying 15 capsized in the water. At least 8 adult bodies have been found. 7 people remain missing. Now, this sparked a dangerous rescue attempt that lasted about an hour yesterday. They then transitioned to a recovery mission that lasted about 5 hours. Crews found no additional survivors. Now, local officials warn these kinds of incidents are happening more frequently in the area.
And contrary to what Democrat bleeding hearts would wish you to believe, these aren't all individuals that are just looking for a better life on the shores of America. No, these are sometimes criminal organizations with nefarious intent who have sex trafficked individuals into the country and exploited them. And this is being reported by officials who had to respond to this event.
Since 2017, we've had a 771% increase in human trafficking in the Southern California coastal region. Since 2021, we've had 23 lives lost at sea. This is not necessarily people trying to find a better life. This is part of a transnational criminal organization effort to smuggle people into the United States.
700% increase. That's not coincidental. That is directly tied to policy decisions that have been enacted by the Biden administration, which have invited this incursion to our shores. And the idea that orderly border control should be maintained is not a race-based policy. In fact, it's also affecting our border to the north, which I'll get to in just a moment. But Karine Jean-Pierre attempting to explain the Biden administration's implementation of border policy and really shifting the blame to the former administration, the Trump administration, did not go well and certainly did not make her appear any more adept at her job.
What we are going to promise is that we're going to do this. We're going to move forward with this kind of system, this immigration system that has been gutted, really, truly gutted by the last administration. We're going to move forward and do it in a humane way. We're going to do it in a safe way, and we're going to do it in the way that moves us forward. And so what we have been seeing, what we've been dealing with, again, is trying to fix the damage that the last administration did. What we have done is we've opened the path to make sure that people have a way to get, to come through.
Yes, that much is true. That much is absolutely true. The Biden administration has opened a big, wide path for people to come through illegally, but come through just the same. They do. And it's not just a southern border issue. It's also a northern border issue. You heard the report from MSNBC about the 8 fatalities from the human smuggling operation off the coast of San Diego. Here's local law enforcement on the northern border also describing the situation as dire and the support as lacking.
Local police tell us the Biden administration is not doing enough.
Does Border Patrol need more people up here?
Absolutely. There aren't enough people to be able to cover all this.
Last week, Border Patrol added 25 agents to this sector, some of them taken off the southern border. They say it will deter migration, but local police here say they need much more.
Whether it's the southern border, the northern border, or our coast, illegal entry is up sometimes in the hundreds of %, and this incursion has been invited by a lax enforcement policy that's been propagated by the Biden administration. That's the reality that we're having to deal with, no matter how much they attempt to obfuscate. Americans understand the flames that have been fanned by this inept administration's refusal to do the job of enforcing the borders that the Constitution outlines. You're listening to Saturday Night on The Circle. Stay tuned for more. Last hour, we opened up by discussing the ongoing financial crisis and the bank collapse, which ruffled markets worldwide. Well, Brian Baker is going to join us coming up next and explain an unusual perspective about why that may be overblown, fears raised beyond the necessary level, and give us some interesting insight into the issue. I hope you'll stay tuned. Coming up next to Saturday Night on The Circle.
Maybe you want to sell your house, but you're worried because your home needs costly repairs or upgrades. No worries. With Mark Dietl, the only real estate agent I trust to sell my house, and he guarantees your home sold at an agreed upon price and deadline, or he's going to buy it. How about Brandy in Indianapolis? She had an investment property and needed to sell, but she was certain she had missed a boat on Top Dollar. She hired Mark Dietl, and he assured her that his team would get it done, and he was right. Had Brandy's home sold in 2 days for Top Dollar. Super easy, and Brandy's very happy.
Mark Dietl guarantees your home sold or he'll buy it. Let that sink in for a minute. Call Mark Dietl today and ask about this amazing guarantee. He'll answer any questions that you have. 317-755-4232. That's 755-4232. Or go to markdietl.com. That's Mark, D-I-E-T-E-L, markdietl.com. Tell him Hammer and Nigel sent you.
When you ask people here what's the one thing that makes Diamonds Direct their favorite jeweler, for some, it's the unbeatable pricing. We get it through our direct importer, no middleman connections, the foundation of our business since day one. For others, it's uncompromising quality, from hand-selected diamonds to handcrafted designer rings, only the best of the best. Some people put selection at the top of their list, as Diamonds Direct offers up to 30 times the options you expect from a typical jewelry retailer. For some, it's our luxurious showroom with diamond experts who genuinely care about your experience and happiness and who are empowered to do whatever it takes for you. Others rave about Diamonds Direct's unmatched warranties and guarantees and an extraordinary 110% diamond upgrade promise. But you know the most often answer we get when asking what makes Diamonds Direct stand out? It's not one thing, it's everything. Diamonds Direct. Value, luxury, choices, and confidence. Get directions, showroom hours, and more at diamondsdirect.com.
At Uline, they know firsthand the road to success is an uphill climb. Uline started in the family basement and through hard work is now North America's most trusted shipping and industrial supplier. They get what it means to have the support of reliable, hard-working partners. So they keep 38,000 items ready to ship. Whether your company is still in a basement office or expanding cross-country, Uline will be there on your road to success. Visit uline.com.
Skyworks Equipment Rental of Indianapolis has immediate openings for experienced parts coordinators, heavy equipment mechanics, CDL drivers, and outside sales reps. Full-time with medical, disability, PTO, 401k, and more. Apply today at skyworksllc.com/jobs. Skyworks, building America from the ground up. The Phone Ready Quiz from the American Academy of Pediatrics will help you decide if you and your child are ready for their first phone. Go to healthychildren.org/phone ready quiz. Indy Humane. Find your new best friend today. Visit indyhumane.org.
Over 2.8 million Americans have served in our military since 9/11. Many have returned home with devastating injuries and few resources for them and their families. This is news correspondent Bob Woodruff. I sustained a life-threatening injury while reporting from Iraq in 2006. The military had my back that day, and they have each other's while serving. It's time we had theirs. Please join us as part of the Got Your Six initiative. To learn more, go to gotyoursix.org using the number 6.
Overcoming drug addiction is difficult. The road to recovery is different for everyone. Find the path to recovery that works for you. Learn more at cdc.gov/stopoverdose.
Through their service, veterans have our backs. Now we should have theirs. Learn more at gotyoursix.org.
Storm clouds are raging all around my door. I think to myself I might not take it anymore.
You're listening to Saturday Night on the Circle on 93 WIBC.
This is another exquisite edition of Saturday Night on the Circle with your host, the Bohemian Codger, Ethan Hatcher. Podcasts uploaded to SaturdayNightOnTheCircle.fireside.fm and WIBC.com. Plus, feel free to hop in the chat on YouTube while our show's in progress streaming live. Just as we were finished putting up our decorations for train derailment season, now bank collapse season has set in swiftly as the Silicon Valley Bank went bust and sent a shockwave of panic that ruffled the feathers of global markets. What's it all mean, and how did this calamity befall our banking system? Well, here to help unpack and untangle the biggest bust since the 2008 financial crisis is the international man of danger and death-defying stunt driver extraordinaire, the gentleman from Georgia, Brian Baker, joins the show once again. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well, Ethan. Thank you for the fabulous introduction. And I'll tell you something, man, this banking crisis, it's not nearly as dramatic as we're being led to believe in the media, but it is a problem. But so much of it is not really based on what the actual scenario is. It's just people having panic attacks and pulling money out left and right. And, it's one of those self-fulfilling prophecies. You remember like when we had the toilet paper crisis and we were not short on toilet paper, but everybody was hoarding. It's sort of the same thing. Like everybody gets freaked out. They get a few blurbs in the news, a few little pieces in the media about, oh my gosh, yeah, this is the beginning of the end. And it just actually becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
So you're saying this is all overblown. It doesn't have anything to do with the rising Fed interest rates that have devalued the bonds? Or what about the bank's involvement with having cryptocurrency as a collateral on some of the investments? That seems incredibly unwise. What's going on there, Brian?
Oh, no, I'm not saying that it's not a problem or that this isn't really bad or that there weren't really easy ways to put in procedures or just use your brain and prevent this from happening if you're one of the guys that's on the board of directors for one of these banks. So basically what happened on this, is we had for since 2008, we had these record low interest rates, and you had people that, number one, if you're an investor, for the most part, you're taking your money and you're putting it into riskier investments because it's the place where you can get a return, right? And we have this inflated market. But for the banks, they have a situation where the way things are set up in the banking system is that you go and you deposit your money into the bank. Well, banks have certain reserve requirements of how much they have to keep on hand at any given time, but then they can lend the rest of that money out. So if they keep 10% on their books, and then they can lend out 90% of that in loans. So essentially, it's like creating new money. If somebody goes and they want to get a loan for their car, they go and the bank is then lending out the depositor's money. That money then gets maybe deposited in another bank, and then that bank keeps the 10% and then lends out the remaining 90%. And that's how banks make money. That, as well as you have investment banks that are into things like real estate. And this particular bank that was in Silicon Valley, one of the things that they did, which is insane, is they bought bonds, and they bought 10-year bonds that were paying roughly 2%, I think is what the return on that was. Well, the way bonds work is, as long as you hold them for the full duration of the bond coupon, if you buy a 10-year bond, as long as you hold it for 10 years, you're going to get your original principal back, plus you're going to get the interest on that, 2% of the original investment. Well, what happened was that things started slowing down in the economy. These tech companies that were all heavily deep in bed with this bank had their money on deposit with these banks, but they weren't making as much money. So all of a sudden, they're starting to have to pull out money, and they don't have as much going into the bank. And then on top of that, you have the Federal Reserve hiking interest rates. And all of a sudden, these bonds, these investments that they had were underwater because people could go out and get a 5-year bond and get twice the amount of interest of what the bank was getting when they bought these 10-year bonds at 2%. Interest rates are going to have to go up always. You never have low interest rates forever, although it seemed like that was going to be the scenario. And the Fed, in an effort to fight inflation, and they keep hiking up these interest rates, well, what wound up happening was banks now, they have to go out and sell these bonds at a loss, and the market saw what was going on there, realized that, okay, they've got some liquidity issues going on, and so everyone that had their money in started pulling it out all at once, and you had essentially a bank run, and folks that were deposited had deposits that were below $250,000. That's covered by FDIC insurance, so they're fine, right? The problem was that there were folks that had more than $250,000 on deposit there. That money shouldn't have been covered by the FDIC. Unfortunately, a lot of these depositors were small businesses. Maybe they use it for payroll, and the government is looking at that and going, well, we can't afford to not make these people whole, because if they go down and all these small businesses go down, then it starts to just take the economy down with it. And then you have other bank failures because maybe one of the companies that you're working for that had its money on deposit with this bank, they no longer are able to, they're not able to pay you your paycheck any longer. So now that you've got a liquidity issue there, then you can't make your car payment. So it trickles down to the next bank. And it's just, it's just line of dominoes, just everything goes down.
So was it the right call by the Biden administration to intervene and cover past the $250,000 insurance under the FDIC in order to avert a larger crisis?
Yes, but here's the problem. And what is the solution on this? I mean, you have regulators that should have been watching this stuff and paying attention and could have seen this coming. And quite frankly, the Federal Reserve could have seen this coming. I mean, this is hell. One of the guys that worked at that bank that was on the board was also serving on one of the Federal Reserve boards. So it's not as though like these folks were in the dark. And part of the problem is they know that they're always going to get a bailout. And yes, the Biden administration did the right thing because you can't have a bunch of businesses, small businesses failing, especially with the economy in the condition that it's in right now. But the problem with that scenario is that you have unintended consequences, which is that, hey, we've privatized profits, but essentially, losses are
covered by the taxpayer.
Yeah. So, and that's the problem that we really created, but going all the way back to 2008, is this situation where it's, okay, this isn't fair. They should have to take the loss. They should have to, deal with the pain of that. But the greater damage, if you don't bail them out, the damage will be even worse than if you do bail them out. So they go ahead and make the call that they're just going to go ahead and bail these people out, and it saves problem. It prevents a greater problem, but then on the back end of that, it just encourages these banks to keep taking unnecessary risks and playing with money because they know that if it goes bad, that the federal government's going to step in and bail them out. So, it's not a good situation that we're in. And I don't know what the regulation and, the right measures are to prevent this from happening in the future, but it's definitely a mess because we've set a precedent now. And,
yes.
I mean, this is not good.
It's reinforcing a lot of the bad habits that were encouraged during the 2008 financial crisis when the banks and and the major manufacturers were bailed out by the government.
Yes, absolutely.
You're listening to 93 WIBC Saturday Night on the Circle. We've been chatting with Brian Baker about the bank collapse and how in some cases it's really overblown, but these federal regulators should have seen the disaster coming. Another disaster we've been dealing with is the train derailments, particularly in East Palestine. But you had an interesting take before the show started I'd like to get into in the next segment if you'll stick around, because you had just some fascinating insights on Norfolk Southern and what's going on with the train derailments. Can you stick around, Brian?
Do it.
All right.
Absolutely.
Stay tuned to 93 WIBC. Brian Baker coming back.
Do you get sinus infections, congestion, sinus pressure and pain, above your eyes, below your eyes, sinus headaches? You've gone to the doctor, you've visited urgent care over and over again, and it's always the same thing. Oh, I know. Let's try antibiotics and nasal sprays. But the sinus infections keep coming back. The good news? Relief is possible. How? A minimally invasive procedure done in the office of Indianapolis Sinus Center called balloon sinuplasty. Imagine the relief of not having to deal with your sinus infections anymore. Set an appointment today with Indianapolis Sinus Center and find out if balloon sinuplasty is the solution for you. Call 317-528-9650. 317-528-9650. That's 317-528-9650.
Hey, you got any gum?
Yeah, check my backpack.
What's this?
Oh, that's naloxone. It can reverse an opioid overdose. I decided to always keep it on me after my friend almost died. It saved his life.
Oh, wow. I'm so sorry. That makes me want to have it with me, too.
You totally should. Check the pharmacy. It was actually really easy to get, and it's easy to use.
I definitely will. Thanks.
Naloxone saves lives. Learn more at cdc.gov/stop-overdose.
Prescription opioids can be addictive and dangerous.
I was given a prescription opioid pain medication, and within only a few months, I was completely addicted. I lost everything. I had to leave school and stop playing sports in college, and I started to watch my life slip away. I want people to know that these drugs are addictive. One prescription can be all it takes to lose everything.
Prescription opioids. It only takes a little to lose a lot. Visit cdc.gov/RxAwareness.
Indianapolis, do you have old, ugly, or even damaged concrete?
Not sure what to do about it, but you know you need to do something? Well, you need to call Galaxy Concrete Coatings. This product is out of this world, and it's right here in Indianapolis. And just in time to give your concrete floors a transflormation. Galaxy Concrete Coatings is 4 times stronger than epoxy. It's designed to not only work on your garage floor, but you can use it on driveways, walkways, around your pool or patio, commercial or residential. And it's UV resistant, which means it will not yellow. And even better, it can be ready to go in about 24 hours. Click on GalaxyConcreteCoatings.com or call 317-751-9070. Indy, you're ready for a transflormation. Call Galaxy Concrete Coatings today, 317-751-9070. Galaxy Concrete Coatings. They are out of this world.
Fox News, I'm Laura Cantor. Former President Donald Trump saying he expects to be arrested on Tuesday.
Now, this deals with a case involving alleged hush money payments to former adult film actress Stormy Daniels. She maintained she had an extramarital affair with the former president. It's something he has denied.
Fox's David Spunt. Trump calling the investigation a witch hunt and is asking his supporters to protest. President Biden reacting to the International Criminal Court issuing an arrest warrant for Russian President Vladimir Putin for war crimes in Ukraine.
That's over war crimes and the alleged forced deportation of Ukrainian children to Russia. The president, as he was leaving for Delaware, did offer a response. President Biden called the move justified despite the U.S. not recognizing the court.
That's Fox's Alexandria Hoff. Putin will be meeting with China's President Xi Jinping on Monday. America's listening to Fox News.
The winter blues are almost behind us. We can't wait to get out of the house and be more active. It sounds great, but your achy joints don't agree. There's time right now to do something about that. Tony Katz here. Stop with the steroids. Stop with the possible surgery chatter. Now there's a better way to get lasting relief. It's QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. Knee pain, back pain, shoulder pain, hip pain. QC Kinetics uses healing properties from your own body, highly concentrated, and then placed directly in your achy joints. It can restore and repair that damaged tissue and get you moving again without pain. The old ways of dealing with joint pain are no longer the only ways. Talk to QC Kinetics today. The consultation is free. The call is free. You have nothing to lose, and the timing is right for you to enjoy the best time of the year. Call QC Kinetics now for a totally free consultation with medical professionals in Eagle Creek, Greenwood, and Carmel. Call QC Kinetics, 317-559-PAIN. 317-559-PAIN. That's 317-559-PAIN.
You're listening to Saturday Night on the Circle on 93 WIBC.
Welcome back to Saturday Night on the Circle. I'm your host, Ethan Hatcher, and we've been chatting with the gentleman from Georgia and stuntman extraordinaire Brian Baker in the last segment, giving an overview on the banking collapse, the pressures which caused it, and how the federal government has intervened to reinforce bad habits in the financial industry. But now we're changing tact and focusing on the train derailment crisis, the transportation crisis that's been facing the nation. And Brian, you were sharing with me before we got started some interesting insights that you have into Norfolk Southern, the train derailment situation, stuff that I've not heard anywhere else. So tell us all about it, Brian.
Yeah, so this is a rather interesting thing, Ethan, and I have to admit that I was guilty myself of kind of getting caught up in the political back and forth over this disaster. And I can tell you that I'm not going to have any friends left when this segment is over, because I'm going to make people mad on both sides of the political aisle. But there is so much misinformation out there and political posturing that's taking place, and a situation where both the left and the right saw this as an opportunity to score political points. And there is so much being said in the media about it, and none of it is factual or accurate or true. So let's kind of start at the beginning with what happened.
Yeah, cut through all the noise. This, because I've not heard this from anywhere else. You're saying that the entire situation is a mischaracterization. How so?
Well, okay, when it first happened, you remember that the the left immediately went on the attack and tried to blame the Trump administration, Donald Trump's regulatory rollbacks for what happened. And they were pointing to the brakes, right, and the braking issue. And, well, the lobbyists for the railroad industry, they didn't want to have to make these upgrades. Well, the accident wasn't caused by an issue with the brakes. What happened was that a bearing went bad on one of the cars, and these bearings, there's no way to know that one of them is bad just from a visual inspection because they're actually enclosed, right? I mean, you would have to actually take the entire assembly apart in order to inspect the bearing. And so they do have these sensors along the railway that actually will track temperatures for that bearing. And so as the temperature goes up, if it gets to a certain level where they know, just based on the basic science of it, okay, it's reaching this temperature, we've got a bearing that is going to fail, because bearings fail all the time. So they do have safety measures in place. But this bearing, there was no way for anyone to know from a visual inspection that this was going to go bad. And it had nothing to do with brakes. And everything went according to plan. They have the sensors along the tracks that noticed, okay, we're starting to notice rising temperatures in this bearing, and it shot up very, very quickly. After it hit the second, it tripped a second trigger and then a third, and the third trigger that it tripped lets the engineer know, hey, you've got a problem back here, and the engineer then applies the brakes at that point in time to bring the train to a stop before you have a catastrophic failure. They did that. They brought the train to a stop. They got out, and once they did that, they saw the smoke. The bearing had already failed by that point, and they had the derailment. So everything went according to plan. It's just that this is a system where bearings fail. It happens a lot. We have train derailments all the time. I mean, they happen frequently on a monthly basis. You have train derailments occurring all the time. And as a result of that, that's also one of the reasons why Buttigieg wasn't on the ground right away, because it wasn't really anything that was that catastrophic or abnormal. This kind of stuff does happen, but it became political fear. And then the right jumped on it. And you had Tucker Carlson getting everyone all worked up and saying, these chemicals, they're blowing things up, and it's
what about
the rivers and fish are dying. So here's the deal.
What about those chemicals, though? Because those are some serious carcinogens, and you're saying that that's nothing to be worried about? I'd be concerned.
I'm not saying there's nothing to be worried about. What I'm saying is that Norfolk Southern got all of this criticism from the right for venting off those chemicals and burning them. But had they not done that, Ethan, these chemicals are very volatile, and if they're not kept at a certain temperature, then they become more unstable. And so they could have had a situation where, had they not done that, and this is standard operating procedure, what they did, venting and then doing the burn off, it could have been an uncontrolled explosion. So they actually did everything according to plan. They had the area cleared in advance to do this. And so all of these things that you're hearing about, we've had spill-offs in the rivers and fish are dying. Well, the fish are dying, but that's not related to the train incident in East Palestine. That area already has ecological challenges, and so this is not actually, you cannot directly tie this to the train. But here's the other thing, man. This car, the car didn't even belong to Norfolk Southern. To explain, Norfolk Southern, they're just a shipper, and so they have to ship whatever the client wants to ship. This wasn't one of their cars, and the car had already been handled by 2 or 3 other railroads or railroad companies prior to Norfolk Southern getting it. So essentially, I mean, it could have happened on any company's watch. They just happened to, be the losers at a game of hot potato, essentially. But in terms of how it's been handled, and Buttigieg went out, at that point, I guess, just to save political face, he went out and he went on the scene. But there's criticism for Biden not going out and making an appearance there, and he should go to East Palestine. Well, no, he shouldn't, because here's the thing. When politicians show up on the sites of these disasters, quote unquote, then that just impedes the ability of the people that are there to get things cleaned up and fixed. It just impedes their ability to get the job done, because you have folks that, they're in the process of trying to clean this thing up and get things back on track, pardon the pun. And then you have politicians that are flying in that want to get their face time. They want to score political points. And so, okay, well, we have to clear out this area, and, we can't be doing any of this work because we've got a senator's helicopter coming in. There's security issues. And so it actually just delays the process that much more. Now, why they don't explain that why the White House, they certainly seem more than willing to look for every opportunity to try and protect Biden when he really does do something stupid and does something wrong. And for some reason, they don't want to bring that up or mention it. But actually, I mean, him not going to East Palestine is a good thing. We don't need politicians showing up there and doing grandstanding and having reporters coming out and asking a bunch of questions. Just let the people do their job and get things cleaned up.
I agree with you on the administration not being able to explain that. And for whatever reason, they seem all too willing to throw Karine Jean-Pierre, the press secretary, out to the wolves without giving her adequate information. And even if I can buy in on the notion that Biden doesn't necessarily need to be front and center on the front lines because it would otherwise impede the cleanup, I'm curious to hear your reaction to stuff like the investigative report that was done by Vice more than a year before this derailment, which pointed the finger. I played this on the show a couple of weeks ago, I believe, where they did a specific investigation and revealed that some of these rail cars, they're supposed to be inspected every 3,000 miles, but they were not getting inspected for sometimes 30 to 90,000 miles, or those visual inspection times. And I know you said that it was a ball bearing and that wouldn't have necessarily been caught by a visual inspection, but they are cutting those inspection times that used to be nearly 4 minutes to now 1 minute and 20 that you're required to cover visually a nearly 100-foot train car. Like, that doesn't add up to me. And I think that maybe there were cuts in safety protocols that helped create this situation. I mean, what's your response to that?
Well, absolutely. I will say that there are challenges with cuts. And, I think, the railroad workers, I mean, they were planning to stage a major strike, right, because they're overworked. I mean, listen, there are challenges, because I looked at one point in time, I looked into being an engineer, because you can make some pretty good money at it, but there are major problems with how things are run and how much conductors and engineers and people that work on these lines, they're overworked. They work extremely long hours. They have erratic schedules, so they're never on like the same schedule from day to day. They never know exactly when they're coming in. So you have these people that are piloting these locomotives, and they're pulling hazardous chemicals, and many of them sleep deprived. I mean, that is not an ideal situation. So that's a danger, but they're also running with smaller crews than they did in the past either. That's a problem. And, yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are a lot of areas where there were protocols and systems in place that things are just not being followed, or they are loosening restrictions, and they're getting away with more and more. And I'm not arguing that all of that is a bad thing. I'm just saying in this particular situation, what happened was kind of a textbook scenario. And again, we have derailments. I know this is disturbing for people to hear, and I was surprised to learn, but we have derailments all the time. And believe it or not, people get hit by trains all the time too, Ethan. It happens on a near daily basis. There are lawyers that work for these companies that all they do all day long is review footage of people that have been hit by trains. Sometimes it's an accident. A lot of times people will commit suicide. I mean, it's a pretty big problem, but it's one of those things that it happens so often that nobody ever really talks about it or thinks, oh, this is a major tragedy or something that we need to deal with, because it just comes with the territory, and it's the norm.
Wow. An appropriately morbid way to end the segment, considering we began with Blue Oyster Cult, Don't Fear the Reaper. Okay, so I guess the final word here is that, yes, there were shortfalls, but overall not as dire of a calamity as being portrayed in a media that's already known to manipulate facts on the ground for their own benefit. Is that really the takeaway here?
Yes, but I think the real takeaway here is, man, we are getting played by both sides.
Yes.
Both sides of the political aisle are full of complete and total crap. And, it's a good lesson, I think, for everyone. What we're seeing happening in the banking sector, what we're seeing happening with East Palestine, but just in how folks are trying to control the narrative. I mean, we're really, I hope, Ethan, seeing the implosion of some of the manipulation that takes place in the media as people get wise to what's happening. And, maybe some good will come out of this. Maybe people will become a little bit more well-informed. Maybe they'll think for themselves. Maybe they won't just go along with whatever, the political party is telling them because that's what they want to hear. Maybe folks will actually do some critical thinking, and we might actually come to the center and resolve some challenges that we're trying to get resolved here in the country. I think it could potentially be a great thing.
Maybe, and we could always hope, but the cynic in me knows that my heart's been broken too many times to hold out hope.
Sadly, you're right.
You're listening to Saturday Night on the Circle. Brian, thanks for coming on the show and spending so much time with us. I appreciate your insight and certainly a different take on both these issues than I think you'll hear in most places.
I appreciate it, Ethan. Thanks for having me on.
And stay tuned to 93 WIBC for our final segment up next.
Kids across America are going to school hungry every day. No Kid Hungry is providing healthy meals and hope to hungry kids so they can build better futures. Learn more at helpnokidhungry.org. No Kid Hungry is providing healthy meals and hope to hungry kids so they can build better futures. Learn more at helpnokidhungry.org.
Your neighbor Mark loves spring in Indy, but he hates to paint. So he called Rhino Shield.
It's a two-story home built in 1992. Around 2001, looking at needing to paint, I heard a radio ad, with Rhino Shield, you won't have to paint again for another 25 years.
That's because Rhino Shield's not paint, it's better.
They're very professional. We had everything done. Everything that would typically be painted on a house was done, and it was very fast.
All right, Indy, get the 25-year guaranteed protection of Rhino Shield right now for 15% off the regular price.
It was done in 2001 and still going strong. From what I've seen on our home, they can easily offer a 25-year guarantee and not worry about it.
Here's owner Shane Smith.
This offer is limited, so call me at 888-RHINO-41. That's 888-RHINO-41.
Don't paint.
Don't vinyl.
Go Rhino.
Don't paint. Don't vinyl. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-200-1966. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-200-1966. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-200-1966. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds, too. Call 800-200-1966. 800-200-1966.
It can be dangerously easy to steal your identity during tax season because so much sensitive info is all together.
Before we start the annual meeting of Sean's personal info, has anyone seen Social Security number?
Not me.
Nope.
Nuh-uh.
Oh, no. He's been stolen.
LifeLock by Norton makes it easy to help protect yourself. If you become a victim, we'll work to fix it. No one can monitor all transactions, but you can save up to 25% off your first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Identity theft protection starts here.
Look through your children's eyes, and you will discover the true magic of a forest. Find a forest near you and start exploring at discovertheforest.org.
There are screening tests to catch cancer early. Visit cancer.org/getscreened.
Ho, 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 it's magic. You know, never believe it's not so.
You're listening to Saturday Night on the Circle on 93 WIBC.
Thanks for joining the show, ladies and gentlemen. Wrapping things up here on a Saturday evening. Been having all the fun in the world. Thanks for listening. Thanks for showing your support. Been chatting with folks in the YouTube Lives chat. So if you are so inclined, check us out there. Search for WIBC in the search bar. You'll find us broadcasting live. Of course, you can find podcasts uploaded to Saturday Night on the Circle.fireside.fm as well as WIBC.com. Producer Carl, beep, 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 pushing the buttons and making the show sound fantastic as usual. Also, Producer Carl, I'm glad you mentioned this. You want to make sure that I pointed out for those on the YouTube stream my memes that I've got behind me. This one was left by the Hammer and Nigel crew. The I'll drink to that poster with the one and only Mayor Joe Hogsnot. Love that poster. I'd buy that for $1, to quote the RoboCop bit there. Yeah, I was entertained. I've noticed Rob putting little props behind him during the broadcasts and thought it was worth doing as well. Also,
I don't know who brought this here. Have you seen the Mike Pence photo, producer Carl?
No.
I'll show it to the YouTube audience first. This is...
Wow.
Yeah, Mike Pence sitting in the powerful WIBC broadcasting chair, photo from his days here at the station. So yes, here's the physical photographic verification that indeed the vice president did used to work here.
We've made him proud.
You're listening to 93 WIBC, Saturday night on the Circle. I guess put this back up. Put things back where you found them. That is always a rule for politeness. Okay. Before we wrap up things here this evening, oh yeah, I wanted to cover this article. Climate activist Greta Thunberg. How dare you? Greta has returned to the Twitter and very quietly deleting an apocalyptic prediction from 2018, warning that climate change will wipe out all of humanity by 2023 if fossil fuel usage continued. I don't know about you guys, but the world still seems to be here. That's the thing about apocalyptic predictions. It's important to keep them threateningly imminent and yet appropriately vague to avoid retroactive criticism after the dates have passed. And Carl, this is something that I should know, remember, because I left the religious cult of Jehovah's Witnesses, who themselves have infamously predicted the end of the world a number of times, including most prominently 1975. Stay alive to 75. The old witnesses used to say there. So yeah, that's why I say it's important to make them threateningly imminent yet appropriately vague, because you don't want to be called. But yeah, this is the tweet she deleted, warning from Harvard University professor of atmospheric chemistry James Anderson, claiming that pollution as a result of burning fossil fuels pushed the climate back 33 million years, potentially, to an era when there are no ice caps at the pole. The tweet, dated June 21st, 2018, was quoted in an article that cited Anderson and has since been deleted. There's no evidence of it anywhere, except, unfortunately, one of these social media watchers screen capped it and tweeted Greta asking, "Why'd you delete this? Why was this important to go away?" Listening to Saturday night on the Circle, wrapping things up. Another thing, of course, we celebrated this week was St. Patrick's Day, an opportunity to dye the Chicago River green once again. Wear your favorite shamrock themed outfit and go out in celebrating and revelry. And of course, a true celebration would not be complete without a Biden gaffe who harkened back to the destructive stereotypes of the 19th century with this short-sighted comment.
I'm the only Irishman you ever met, though, that's never had a drink, so I'm okay. I'm really not Irish.
Low-hanging fruit there, President Biden. Oh, the Irish like to drink. Yeah, no, that's an old ethnic joke. We get it. Curious coming from a president who pushes diversity, equity, and inclusion to then be so divisive and, dare I say, racist as to echo comments made by the infamous Richard Nixon in the Nixon tapes that got released a few years ago. This is what he had to say about the Irish. The Irish can't drink because they get mean, particularly the real Irish. So there we go. Maybe that's the reason that Biden doesn't take a drink.
I'm the only Irishman you ever met, though, that's never had a drink, so I'm okay. I'm really not Irish.
Because he doesn't want to get mean. There we go. Thanks for tuning in, guys, to Saturday Night on the Circle. Another exciting broadcast being taken care of. I, had a fun time on the show as usual. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for showing your support and joining us in the YouTube chat. Our usual fans, I appreciate you. And make sure to catch the podcast uploaded to WIBC.com, Saturday Night on the Circle.fireside.fm. Producer Carl, we will be out next week. I am preempted by the Sportsketball, and I understand the week thereafter you're going to be going away as well on vacay.
Yes, I'll be gone, but I'm sure you'll be in good hands.
And you'll be with us here in spirit. We'll miss you and anticipate your return. But in the meantime, I leave you with my parting words of wisdom. As always, whoever you are, whoever you're with, and whatever you're doing, remember that life is a state of mind. See you next time.